भवन भारती, जय जय विद्या भवन हमारा। ज्ञान कर्म की ज्योति जगा दो, अमृतमय विद्या सरसाधार। यहाँ जगत कल्याण सुधा की, बहे प्रेम रस धारा। जय जय विद्या भवन भारती, जय जय विद्या भवन हमारा। भारत संस्कृति कला निकेतन, विकासार साहित्य सनातन। नवविज्ञान कला कौशल का, पावन मंदिर प्यारा, पावन मंदिर प्यारा, पावन मंदिर प्यारा।
Art and culture add flavor to the civilization of a nation. It gives life a distinct fragrance which makes the nation stand apart. This unique nation of united diversity is India. She is matchless, a veritable coffer of literature, music and dance, food and attire. All of this is vital and essential to the Indian. It is this abundance that clarifies the meaning of life in India. The teachers of Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan's Vidya Mandir Irinjalakuda proudly present their art-integrated project on the tribals of Himachal Pradesh, an innovative CBSE initiative to merge art with the core subjects to make art an integral part of all learning. The departments involved in this delivery or demonstration are the Department of English, Department of Hindi, Department of Social Science, Department of Physics, Department of Chemistry, Department of Biology, Department of Maths, and the Department of Performing Arts. Our teachers have brought into play the different aspects of the topic in relation to their varied subjects by virtue of their erudition in their field of mastery. I now introduce Mr. Sujit K.R. and Mrs. K. Ranjita from the English department, Mrs. Seema, the Hindi department, Mrs. Josie George, Department of Maths, Mrs. Rekha, Department of Physics, Mrs. Priya Chandran, Department of Biology, Mrs. Savita Menon, Department of Chemistry, Mrs. Chitra Unikrishnan and Mrs. Shalini G, Department of Social Science, and Mrs. Ramya P from the Department of Performing Arts.
Namaste everyone. Poetry comes from the highest happiness or the deepest sorrow by APJ Abdul Kalam. I feel privileged as I stand before you to invite your attention to a well-known poet of Himachal Pradesh named D.C. Chambial.
As we are all aware, Himachal Pradesh is blessed with an incomparable mountainous landscape. So is its literature, with a bunch of gifted poets. The scenic beauty of Himachal will make you feel something otherworldly. The poets, on the other hand, will leave you enthralled as they carry with them the rich legacy of their cultural and ethnic subtlety. The prominent one among those gifted poets is D.C. Chambial. Dr. D.C. Chambial is a trilingual poet, critic, and translator. He served Himachal Pradesh Education Department for about 38 years in various capacities and retired as Associate Professor of English. He has published 11 books of his poems in English, one in Hindi, and edited one on the poetry of Himachal Pradesh. Here is the poem In Silence by D.C. Chambial. I write your name on the sands of the shore. A wave came and left the shore clean. Helplessly I saw it so gone. I write your name atop the highest mountain where waves could not reach. It's not there. The name was buried and gone. I wrote your name on the slopes of the mountain. It rained so heavily. The name here too was washed with the water away. I wrote your name on sand of the desert. The wind in rage in the white heat of the sun. The sand dunes erased the name. I tried to write it on the slush of the marshes. It came over before I could finish my oar. I failed to make it stay there too. Exhausted, I sat in silence, etched your name on the canvas of my heart. There it stays clear and bright till the end. This poem clearly depicts the desperate human endeavor to embrace eternity. Now, let's compare this beautiful poem with another creative one penned by Kamala Das, who is known as Madhavikutty in Kerala. Kamala Das is considered as the mother of modern English Indian poetry. Let me recollect a few lines from the poem Love by Kamala Das. Until I found you, I wrote verse, drew pictures, and went out with friends for walks. Now that I love you, curled like an old mongrel, my life lies content in you. These two poems deal with the same theme, namely the disheartening feeling experienced by loved souls at parting and the multiple ways they resort to in order to avoid it. The seventh chapter of Class 10 English Literature textbook, entitled The Glimpses of India, focuses on the traditional and ethnic diversities of states like Goa and Assam. So it is interesting to make students imbibe the culture of Himachal Pradesh along with them. It helps them assimilate the cultural nuances of these Indian states as well. Technology has really been a boon in this regard. Even though we belong to different states, our thoughts do not differ. It is always in tune with the feeling of oneness which oozes out from every Indian heart. Let's do away with the facade and veil we unnecessarily put on in the name of caste, religion, language, and social status. Let all be one. Jai Hind. Now, my friend Sujit will join you soon to get you all introduced with a folk tale from Himachal Pradesh. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. As we all know, each and every Indian state is rich with its traditional and ethnic folklore. Himachal Pradesh is no different. Today, I am going to narrate a folk tale from Himachal Pradesh, which is quite famous there. This particular folktale was translated into English by a well-known writer, K.A. Sita Lakshmi. Folktales as such depict the lives of people. In folktales, we come to see how they live and enjoy themselves. Folktales on the devotion of some people to God are very common. Some of such devotees are still remembered through their ballads and stories about them. Bhikkhu was one such devotee. In fact, the title of this story is Shamastali and Bhikkhu. Shamastali was Bhikkhu's guru. He was a very wise old man. He was strict to the core. He has got a dour face. He wanted complete adherence and compliance from everyone, especially from his disciples. Shamastali and Bhikkhu were ardent devotees of God. Everybody in the village loved and trusted them. Shamastali had got a miraculous tongue. Whatever he would tell would come out true. Bhikkhu was Shamastali's favorite disciple. Unknown to his guru, Bhikkhu had developed a high godliness. Everybody in the village trusted Bhikkhu and Shamastali. One day, Bhikkhu went out begging in the village. On his way, he happened to see a group of men carrying a corpse. He didn't understand anything. He asked the men, "What are you carrying on your shoulders?" The men replied, "We are taking a dead body to the crematorium." He didn't again understand anything. So he asked them. Men replied again that this person is dead. And it is the practice. When someone passes away, we take them to the crematorium. Bhikkhu then told them, "Please put down the corpse. I want to observe it." The men did so. He uncovered the corpse and started to examine and observe it closely. Bhikkhu said, "This man is perfectly alright. He has got a pair of eyes, hands and ears. Then why you are telling that this person is dead? What is in him has actually died?" The men who were carrying the corpse could not understand such a deep question. They could not answer that. But one of the men said, "This person won't move. That's the proof of his death." Then Bhikkhu spoke to the dead man earnestly. "Get up, otherwise these people will take you to cremation ground and you will be burned to ashes there." All of a sudden, the dead person woke up as if from a deep slumber. Everybody around them got surprised. They all started to praise him and extol him like anything. This news spread fast in the village. In fact, it was heard by his guru. Guru's anger knew no bounds. Guru thought that Bhikkhu has violated the nature's law. He doesn't have the right to live anymore. Somehow Bhikkhu must be perished. Shamastali thought of killing Bhikkhu at once. In order to do that, he started to run behind Bhikkhu. Bhikkhu ran fast in order to save himself from his angry guru. Both of them finished 12 miles. Bhikkhu was dead tired. So was his guru. Bhikkhu decided to pray to the goddess of earth to save himself from this wrathful guru. All on a sudden, his plea was heard by Mother Nature and there formed a big crack in front of him. Bhikkhu got into the crack and the earth was closed. He never came back from that crack. His Guru Shamastali was there watching everything with awe. He was totally surprised at his disciples' devotedness towards God. That place is quite famous now. It is known as Bikisha. Every year people celebrate in commemoration of this bhikkhu and his disciple. People arrange festivals in order to do that. It's also a fire which has great importance as far as the sales of animals and birds are concerned. Bhikkhu has been idolized in a number of folktales in Himachal Pradesh. The fourth chapter of Class 9 supplementary reader, entitled The Kingdom of Fools, has the same storyline. This particular story also tells the relationship between a guru and his disciple. Here, the guru, being very wise and intelligent, comes to save his disciple's life, who was very foolish. The lesson entitled Kingdom of Fools is actually from a Kannada folktale, which was translated into English by A.K. Ramanujan. When we come to Malayalam literature, we find lots of storylines having the same theme. In fact, in Kerala, the teachers are held high. They are respected by everyone. A Malayalam short story entitled Guruvum Shishyanum has the same theme. It is in the famous book Chiranjeevi Paranja Kadakal, which was written by Sharon. It talks about a rare relationship which existed between a teacher and his student. And the student at last realizes the worth of his guru. 21st century technology has facilitated learning in multiple ways. Now, classroom is not a place, it is a space. We teachers can produce tangible results now with the help of these technologies. Even in this tough time, if we can reach out our students and if their education remains intact, we are all indebted to this technology. What everyone once deemed to be losable has not been lost. Thank you, everyone.
Namaste. I am Josie George, teacher of mathematics at Bharati Vidya Bhavan's Vidya Mandir, Iringalakuda, Thrissur district, Kerala. Today, I would like to deal with Chapter 5, Data Handling of Class 8. As a teacher, I aim to impart art-integrated learning, especially drawing through this chapter. As we know, through the program Ek Bharat Shresth Bharat, our state has been paired to Himachal Pradesh. It aims at active enhancement of interaction between people of diverse cultures living in different states in India. And so, through this session, I would like to give an idea of different types of graphs like bar graph, pie chart, line graph, double bar graph, etc. I could relate few data from Himachal Pradesh to draw these graphs that may help our children to acquire more. Understanding of this chapter will foster our children to get an idea about different graphs, the way it is drawn, and also to interpret the information from it. Let us see these graphs one by one. Bar graph. Bar graph representing major scheduled tribe communities in Himachal Pradesh. A bar graph is a display of information using bars of uniform width, their heights being proportional to the respective values. The gaps between the bars should be equal. On the x-axis, different communities are mentioned, and on the y-axis, population in lakhs is represented by taking a scale of 1 unit is equal to 0.2 lakhs. According to the data, there are altogether 5 bars. From the graph, it is evident that Gadi tribes is more in population and Bod tribes is least in population. Thus, at a glance, we can have an idea of all the information given in the data. Pie chart. Pie chart representing parts of medicinal plants used from Kullu district, Himachal Pradesh. A pie chart shows the relationship between a whole and its parts. Here, the whole circle is divided into sectors. Pie chart is also called as a circle graph. In the data, there are 9 parts of the medicinal plants mentioned. So, first we draw a circle of any radius. Then we divide the circle into 9 sectors where size of each sector is proportional to the information it represents. In the pie chart, we can see that the sector corresponding to leaves is more in size. Thus, it is clear that leaves of the medicinal plants contribute more in the making of high quality medicine. Line graph. Line graph representing average rainfall of Himachal Pradesh in the year 2020. A line graph displays data that changes continuously over periods of time. It consists of bits of line segments joined consecutively. The x-axis shows the months at which rainfall is recorded. On the y-axis, average rainfall in millimeter is labeled with a scale of 1 unit is equal to 50 millimeter. It is clear from the graph that in the month October, rainfall is minimum and in August, rainfall is maximum. You might have noticed line graphs in our daily life situations such as recordings, temperature, ECG, etc. Double bar graph. Double bar graph representing literacy rate of males and females of Kerala and Himachal Pradesh. Double bar graphs are used for comparison. In this data, first we draw 2 bars close to each other representing literacy rates of males in Kerala and Himachal Pradesh. From it, we infer that male literacy of Himachal Pradesh is close to that of Kerala. Similarly, I have shown the comparison of female literacy. Even though Kerala tops the list of the most literate state in India, Himachal Pradesh has an immense growth in the literacy rate of the country. In the same manner, we can draw multiple bar graph where we can compare more variables. Now, we move to the end of this session. I have done with an interdisciplinary study by correlating mathematics with the data taken from social science, general science, etc. I hope you might have got an idea of different types of graphs and how to differentiate it. In some cases, same data can be represented in 2 or more different ways. During this pandemic scenario, you might have come across various kinds of graphs, especially in mass media. So, I am giving an assignment to you. Collect 3 different graphs of COVID-19 situation among districts, states or countries and analyze it accordingly. Thank you.
नमस्ते, मैं सीमा केरल के त्रिशूर जिले में स्थित भवंस विद्या मंदिर की हिंदी अध्यापिका हूँ। हिमाचल प्रदेश के लोग अपने प्यार, खुशियाँ, दुख और आशाएं लोक कला के रूप में व्यक्त करता है। आज हम लोकगीत से जुड़ी एक प्रसिद्ध गायिका को जानेंगे। गंभीरी देवी हिमाचल की लोकप्रिय लोक गायिका। उनका जन्म 1922 में बिलासपुर में हुआ था। उन्होंने 8 साल की उम्र से लेकर लोक गायन शुरू कर दिया था। उस वक्त ये सब करना इतना आसान काम नहीं था। लड़कियों का इस प्रकार नाच गाना करना अच्छा नहीं माना जाता था। गंभीरी देवी हार नहीं मानी, लोक गायन नहीं छोड़ी। ग्रामीण जीवन के विभिन्न पहलुओं को उन्होंने लोकगीत के रूप में दूसरों को दिखाया। यह है गंभीरी देवी। उनकी प्रतिभा के सामने समाज को झुकना पड़ा। अंत में वे इतने लोकप्रिय हो गए कि उनके प्रदर्शन के बिना कोई भी समारोह पूरा नहीं माना जाता था। 2011 में रविंद्रनाथ ठाकुर की 150वीं जयंती के अवसर पर उन्हें नृत्य नाटक में योगदान के लिए गीत नाटक अकादमी द्वारा टैगोर अकादमी पुरस्कार से सम्मानित किया गया। गंभीरी देवी के जैसे हमारे बैजेंद्र को भी अनेक मुश्किलों का सामना करना पड़ा। आइए आज हम पढ़ने जा रहे हैं कक्षा 9वीं हिंदी के पाठ्यक्रम स्पर्श भाग 1 का पाठ एवरेस्ट मेरी शिखर यात्रा। बचेंद्री एवरेस्ट पर चढ़ने वाली प्रथम भारतीय महिला है। उनका बड़ा भाई उन्हें पहाड़ पर चढ़ने से रोकता था। यह बचेंद्री को बहुत बुरा लगा। गंभीरी देवी के जैसे उन्होंने भी हिम्मत न हारी। निरंतर परिश्रम करके वह अंत में अपना लक्ष्य प्राप्त कर लिया। उसे राष्ट्र पद्मश्री और अर्जुन पुरस्कार से सम्मानित कर दिया। उन्होंने अनेक अन्य पुरस्कार भी हासिल कर दिए। यह पाठ पढ़कर ऐसा लगता है मानो पाठक भी उनके कदम से कदम मिलाता हुआ सभी खतरों को खुद झेलता हुआ एवरेस्ट के शिखर पर जा रहा हो। आइए सुनिए सोहनलाल जी की कविता हिमालय। युग युग से है अपने पद पर, देखो कैसा खड़ा हिमालय। दिखता कभी न अपने प्रण से, रहता प्रण पर अड़ा हिमालय। जो भी बाधाएं आई उन सबसे ही लड़ा हिमालय। इसीलिए तो दुनिया भर में हुआ सभी से बड़ा हिमालय। अगर न करता काम कभी कुछ, रहता हरदम पड़ा हिमालय। तो भारत के शीश चमकता, नहीं मुकुट सा जड़ा हिमालय। खड़ा हिमालय बता रहा है, डरो न आंधी पानी में। खड़े रहो अपने पद पर, सब कठिनाई तूफानी में। डिगो न अपने प्रण से तो सब कुछ पा सकते हो प्यारे। तुम भी ऊंचे हो सकते हो, छू सकते नभ के तारे। आ चल रहा जो अपने पद पर, लाख मुसीबत आने में। मिली सफलता जग में उसको, जीने में मर जाने में। मिली सफलता जग में उसको, जीने में मर जाने में। कवि सोहनलाल जी हमसे क्या कह रहे हैं? हिमाचल की गंभीरी देवी हो या उत्तरांचल की बचेंद्री, हमें इनसे क्या प्रेरणा मिलते हैं? जीवन में एक लक्ष्य निर्धारित करना है। लक्ष्य प्राप्ति के लिए कठिन परिश्रम करते रहना है। नारी तो शक्ति स्वरूपा है। उन्हें अनेक प्रकार की चुनौतियों का सामना जरूर करना पड़ेगा, लेकिन हिम्मत नहीं हारना चाहिए। नारी तो कर्म, धर्म, विज्ञान, अंतरिक्ष सभी क्षेत्रों में पुरुषों से आगे निकली जा रही है। विद्यार्थी होने के नाते आप सबका क्या कर्तव्य है? सबसे पहले एक लक्ष्य को निर्धारित करना है। लक्ष्य की पूर्ति के लिए कठिन परिश्रम करना है। राष्ट्र निर्माण में हमेशा योगदान देते रहना है। धन्यवाद।
Namaste. We need to facilitate learning by choosing any Indian art form and ensure that students are able to creatively integrate the art forms. The benefits that a child acquires are retention, engagement in their activities, and also helps them to recognize their new skill. In this session, we will be discussing Chapter 14, Sources of Energy of Class 10 General Science. Topic is non-conventional sources of energy. Subtopic is energy consumption in snowbound and tribal regions of Himachal Pradesh. The objectives and the competencies are given below. What do you mean by non-conventional energy? Renewable sources of energy are also called non-conventional energy sources. Sources that are continuously replenished by natural process and do not cause environmental pollution. This energy is also called as clean energy. For example, solar energy, energy from sea, wind energy, geothermal energy, nuclear energy, hydroelectric energy, bioenergy, biofuels grown sustainably. Now we move on to the non-conventional energy sources. The first one is the solar energy. Solar energy is simply the light and heat that come from the sun. People can harness the sun's energy in a few different ways. Photovoltaic cells, which convert sunlight into electricity. Solar thermal technology, where heat from sun is used to make hot water or steam. Passive solar heating, which can be simple as letting the sunshine through windows to heat the interior of a building. Second one is energy from sea. Tides, waves and currents can be used to produce electricity, although still at research and development stage, not yet commercially available. Wave energy, where converters capture the energy contained in ocean waves and used it to generate electricity. Tidal energy, produced either by tidal range technologies using a barrage to harvest power between high and low tide, tidal current or tidal stream technologies or hybrid application. Next one is wind energy. Wind power or wind energy is the use of wind to provide mechanical power through wind turbines to run electric generators and traditionally to do other work like milling or pumping. It is sustainable and renewable energy source. Next one is geothermal energy. Heat that radiates from the subsurface of the earth's crust. People capture geothermal energy through geothermal power plants that use heat deep inside the earth to generate steam to make electricity. Geothermal heat pumps that trap heat close to earth's surface to heat water or provide heat for buildings. The last one is bioenergy, made available from materials derived from biological source. Biomass is any organic material which has stored sunlight in the form of chemical energy. It includes wood, wood waste, straw, crop residues, manure, sugarcane and other byproducts of variety of agricultural process. As a part of extended learning, we discuss energy consumption in snowbound and tribal regions of Himachal Pradesh. In snowbound mountainous region, the tribal inhabitants traditionally depend on bioenergy resources such as firewood, agricultural and animal residues for meeting their energy requirements like heating, cooking, etc. As vegetation is quite low in snowbound and tribal regions, firewood and kerosene supplied by government at subsidized rate is of limited quantity. Surplus amount of electricity produced from hydro energy could not meet the demands of the people living in these regions due to breakdown of electricity when there is snowfall and lightning. That is because of the changing climatic condition. The depleting forest resources limits the availability of fuel. The commercial sources like LPG, kerosene fails to meet the domestic needs of the people due to logistic, climatic, social aspects and economic constraints. Remedial steps have been taken by government, keeping in view of the topographical, climatic conditions, logistics, social aspects to provide uninterrupted power to light their houses after 4 p.m. Suggested measures are energy from windmills and solar panels. When we compare the consumed energy in the tribal regions of Kerala, the energy consumed are hydroelectric power and kerosene for lighting lanterns. Every house in the tribal regions are lighted with 2 bulbs by hydro microgrids. During summer, it is difficult to run turbines as water level goes down. So the government seek out the help of neighboring states like Tamil Nadu and Karnataka and use their hydroelectric power to provide electricity for the tribal regions and thus solving their dilemma. Attaining a well-balanced, sustainable society is an arduous but important task. So, dear children, let us all work together hand in hand in attaining a sustainable future and make this world a better place to live in, thus making our country proud. Ek Bharat Shreshta Bharat. Thank you.
Namaste. India is a land of variety. Every state in India is special. Each state has its unique features which has contributed towards its development. Here we will discuss about two states of India. Kerala, which is located on the southwestern part of India. Himachal Pradesh, which is located on the northwestern part of India. Kerala is referred to as God's own country. It is famous for its scenic beauty. Kerala has developed, there are many key features, and one of the main factors is its literacy rate, which is nearly 96.2, the highest in the country. There are many government schools and colleges, and the government is aiming at high-tech schools and colleges. Agriculture is another major contribution towards the development of Kerala. The major crops are cashew nut, tapioca, spices, rubber, rice, ginger, etc. The state is self-sufficient in food crops. When it comes to women empowerment, Kerala again stands at the topmost. Right from the olden days, the society has always given special status to women. Therefore, rights of women has been put into practice excellently well within the state. When it comes to healthcare facilities, again, Kerala is self-sufficient. Both Ayurveda and allopathy medicine has been given equal importance. There are a number of multi-speciality hospitals and healthcare centers spread out throughout the state. The next major factor that has all been a very, very important factor is tourism. Kerala's tourism is world famous. The backwaters of Kerala, the beaches of Kerala, the hill stations of Kerala are all tourist attractions for people all over India and all over the world. And it has been a major contribution towards the development of this state. Now, let's talk about Himachal Pradesh, the hill state located on the northwestern part of India. There are many factors that led to the development of this hill station. Himachal Pradesh is the front runner among Indian states in reducing poverty and improving human development outcomes. An accountable bureaucracy and a committed leadership, together with strong community involvement, have made all this possible. People's support for future development hinges on the state's continued protection of its unique social cohesion and environmental heritage. Let's examine the factors that contributed to the development of Himachal Pradesh. I'm sure all of you have heard of Palampur, a village in Himachal Pradesh. It is referred to as a dream village, a village with fairly well-developed system of schools, transport system, electricity, irrigation, healthcare facilities, farming being the major activity. This is just one village of Himachal Pradesh. We will discuss the overall development of this state called Himachal Pradesh.
As I have already mentioned, Palampur is just a dream village. There are many such factors that actually contribute to the development of each state. Now we will see the factors that helped in the development of Himachal Pradesh. Agriculture. An impressive achievement is that 90% of its residents live in rural areas, main occupation being agriculture. The chief food crops cultivated in Himachal Pradesh include wheat, maize, rice, barley, potatoes, olives, etc. The state is also referred as the Apple State of India. It provides direct employment to about 69% of the main working population. Educational attainment. Literacy rate is nearly 86.6% in Himachal Pradesh, one among the highest in the country. More members of the SC and ST groups have secondary or higher levels of schooling, both in rural and urban areas. There are enough number of government-owned universities and schools and colleges within the state. Women empowerment. The big success story is in female labor force participation, which stands second in the country after Sikkim. Tourism. Tourism industry occupies an important place in the economy of Himachal Pradesh. Kullu and Manali is one of the beautiful and important tourist destinations from tourism point of view. It is playing an important and certainly positive role in socio-economic and political development and offering many opportunities, employment opportunities. Healthcare facilities. Lots of importance is given to Ayurveda and allopathy. The state has sufficient health centers and district hospitals, specialized hospitals and medical colleges.
Did you know that Himachal Pradesh is the first state that banned the use of plastics? Most recently, the Union Government has approved the 210 MW Lorry Stage 1 hydroelectric project on the Sutlej in Himachal Pradesh. This future project ensures employment for nearly 2,000 men. Going forward, Himachal Pradesh is keen to ensure that in future growth path driven by hydropower development, watershed management, tourism and industrial growth does not introduce a new way of life that destabilizes its historically cohesive society and upsets social and environmental sustainability. While we summarize about the factors that led to the development of Kerala and Himachal Pradesh, let's say that every state in India is unique. And every state has certain special factors that makes it unique. Thank you.
Namaste. Udyamena hi siddhyanti karyani na manoradhi. Nahi suptasya simhasya pravishanti mukhe mrigaha. Yes, the Sanskrit sloka means the hard working. Today, I'm enthralled as I stand here in the typical rural landscape of Kerala, amidst the greenery of a Kerala village, to have an opportunity to brief about the tribe of another great state with unbelievable scenic beauty. It is none other than the marvelous Himalayan state which we call Himachal Pradesh. I feel elated to ponder about the famous festival of Kerala, Bharani, which blows up the spirits of folks in central and north Kerala. Though the festivities are confined to the ancient town Kodungalur, erstwhile known as Musaris, the roots of the believers are scattered in the northern districts of Kerala, namely Palakkad, Malappuram, Kozhikode, Wayanad, Kannur and Kasaragod. The tribes from those districts flock into this temple town in the month of February or March, Meenam month in Malayalam calendar, to have a glimpse of Kodungalur Amma, the incarnation of goddess Kali. These tribes, in their traditional attire with swords, chilambar, do perform pradikshana round the temple and in the process hit their forehead with the swords and hardly do stop even if the blood flows in tandem. In the process of pursuit of goddess, they themselves acquire a feel of godliness and transform their mindset as that. Tribes of Himachal Pradesh are known to be descendants of Indo-Aryan family group. There are 5 major tribal groups in the wonderful state, namely Kinora, Lahol, Gadi, Gujar and Bodh. They constitute 5.7% of the total population of Himachal Pradesh. And surprisingly enough, their literacy level rate is 74%. Many tribes resides over Himachal which have their own traditions and customs. Kanora. The Kanora are a tribal community found in Kinnaur district of Himachal Pradesh. They are also known as Kinnara. The tribal culture of Kinnaur is being considered more mysterious and research point for outsiders than nature. The language is affected by Tibetan influence. The education is spread over more than any other tribes. Both people are an ethnic group of Himachal Pradesh. Their religion is predominantly Buddhism with Shiva worship. Culturally and ethnically, there is significant mixing due to the region passing under the hegemony of rulers of Ladakh, Kulu, Chamba over the last many centuries. Gadis. Gadis are primarily the worshippers of Lord Shiva. A locally made beverage is used for devotion to the Lord. Traditionally, they were nomadic, but in due course, they got engrossed in rearing of cattle, rearing of wool, agriculture, and even trade. Dancing, musical melodies, festivals, and fairs are a part of their lifestyle. Thus, we find a similarity in their nature with the tribes of Kerala. Especially, Gadi tribes are ardent worshipper of Lord Shiva and do flock the temple during a particular season in their own traditional getup. All the tribes are true believers of God and do perform the puja as per their tradition. These tribes do have the class of Brahmin, Thakur, Rajput, Rana, Khatri, etc. within their respective clans. Their embossal of traditional values do mark a clear similarity with the scattered tribes of northern states of Kerala. Hence, we got forced to believe that India as a whole is an embodiment of hundreds of culture, even among the tribes, and yet to give room for us to draw similarities. Also, appreciate the 21st century skills which are more important to students for successful learning. Also, tremendously important for our nation's well-being. As I am successful with digital learning to imbibe the modern development of tribes of Himachal Pradesh. We have to appreciate the fact that even though lot of modern changes have taken place in Himachal Pradesh, the native population has always tried to conserve their tradition and customs. Thank you.
Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan, Irinyalakuda has always given opportunities for its students to learn and perform folk dance forms from other states as well. Through such an inclusive and pluralistic approach, we could always provide our students with an opportunity to imbibe other cultures as well. Every year, our students get immense exposure to appreciate other cultures this way. This year, as part of the Art Integrated project, we have proudly chosen to make our students perform Kulu dance form and thereby enriching and enhancing our students' vision on the rich tradition of the Himachal Pradesh. The Nati dance is a local folk dance of Kulu district of Himachal Pradesh and depicts Rasa Leela or dances concerning Hindu god Krishna and gopis. The dancers join their hands and make movements accordingly with the rhythm and music. Technology has really been a boon in this regard. Come, let's watch my Kulu performance with my dear students.